It is just a huge honor to be podcast interviewing Hernan Varas. Did I say it right? Varas?
Yes.
MBA. We both have an MBA. And he works for my buddy, Dick Barnes of Arrowhead Laboratories in Salt Lake City. I don't know if you know me and Dick Barnes go back a ways, but I remember 30 years ago, he was in my kitchen teaching me how to eat better. He was saying, you need to eat pressure. He bought me my first rice pressure cooker.
Oh, really?
And he taught me, he said that in the morning he gets up and he ate his, made a whole pot of pressurized rice. But I mean, back in the day, we used to get Barnesified. Do you remember that?
I do.
And you would go to a Dick Barnes course. I remember I saw him first in 1987.
Okay.
And you probably weren't even born yet.
Yes, I was.
You were born in 87?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to have to see your ID on that. And, but yeah, Bart.
You're very kind.
He's just a hell of a guy. So first of all, I want to start with, how's Dick Barnes doing?
He's doing well. He lives in Salt Lake City, downtown Salt Lake City. And I just talked to him a few days ago, and he was in California vacationing. So he's doing quite well.
Well, tell him his bald buddy from Phoenix, Arizona says hello.
I will sure.
And he's got to come back and teach me a new pressurized rice cooking recipe.
I had no idea he did this. So
yeah. Yeah.
He never taught me.
He never taught you? Probably because you didn't need it. He probably looked at me and said, this guy needs to change his diet. But Dick Barnes is a maverick. How many dental labs are owned by a dentist?
he owns just one.
Yeah,
Arrowhead Dental
but that's
Lab.
a pretty rare deal to be.
It is. And, he started over 40 years ago. We just celebrated our 40th a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And so he was just one lab, and he's very picky about who is in the lab too. So it's a very exclusive laboratory. And we have more full arch, full mouth cases at that lab than any other lab. It's a very comprehensive laboratory. So I feel privileged to work for a place like that.
I think what Dick Barnes gets, what everyone else doesn't get, and I'm pulling up this statistic because I don't want to butcher, but this is, how everybody wants to blame all their problems on anything and anybody but themselves. And the one thing that American dentists they always want to talk about how bad insurance is and
the economy.
DSOs, the economy, and everything's Delta Dental's fault. But look at this. This is what Dick Barnes knew and knows. The average new car price in America is $33,560, according to Kelley Blue Book and USA Today. And on average, an American will buy 13 new cars in their lifetime before they're 76 years old. Source Anthony Pratt, Polk Director of Forecasting. So here's an American, though. 13 times will buy a new car, and 95% of the dentists in their lifetime will never do one full mouth rehab.
Correct.
For $33,000. And they'll say, well, it's because of the economy. Yeah. So an American will find $33,000 for it. And then when you look at that car, in 168 hours in a week, that car isn't even moving 4 hours a week. It's parked in a garage, but you're eating, drinking, smiling. Absolutely. So why do you think some dentists can get Barnesified and convince you to, let's just fix them all up? And then anytime an American buys a new car, like my friends, whenever they buy a car, they always have to come by and show you your car, and you got to walk out there and see the thing and all, and get all excited.
And you want leather seats, you want the chrome wheels, you want everything else with it.
So why don't dentists see that? Why?
I think they see that, and in my experience with dentists, so I moved here from Chile 35 years ago.
Was it because it was too chilly?
Actually, where I live is quite hot. It's like equivalent of Arizona. So, but anyhow, so I moved here, and
Americans don't realize that if Chile was laid out on America, it'd go from Miami, Florida to Maine.
Yes.
Or
from California to Alaska.
Yeah, California to Alaska. Yeah, it's a huge country.
It is. So, so when I moved here, and then several years later, I came here to get an MBA and then go back home with my wife because I married an American, and we decided to come and finish college and then move back. It was a trip. First kid, second kid, third kid, roots are very deep after that, and we ended up staying. And I started as a dental technician by chance. My wife was a dental assistant, and we had one car, and I will drive her to work and then go to school or my job and then come back and pick her up. And they needed help with that little lab that they had in where she worked. And that's how I started. And then I became a technician, and then I started from the bottom, cleaning up the lab. Then I became doing wax ups, and then little by little I was a full-time technician. Finished college with an MBA, and I was never going to be in the industry ever again. I'm leaving dentistry forever. And then I realized that I knew a lot of things, that I observed a lot of things. And one of the things that I observed is this: I loved to be when the crowns were delivered for somebody that they haven't had nice teeth for a long time, and the tears, the joy, the resentment with themselves. Why didn't I do this before? And the pride that I saw with the dentist. Those dentists never say, I can't believe that I made $20,000 out of it. No, look at how beautiful it is. The money wasn't even a problem. I was charmed by all of that. Then I met Dr. Dick Barnes. And it's exactly what he said. It is your responsibility as a dentist to tell me everything that I need to restore my teeth to good health or maintain my teeth in good health. Whether you think I can afford it or not, or whether you think I will say yes or not, that is none of your business. And I think that is
repeat that. That's worth repeating. Repeat that again.
So, it's your responsibility to tell me as a patient everything that I need to restore my teeth to good health or to maintain my teeth in good health. Whether you think I will say yes or not, or whether you think I can afford it or not because of my appearance, that is none of your business. It is your responsibility to tell me comprehensively what is needed. Because I came to you hoping and praying that you're going to help me maintain my teeth to good health.
Could you imagine going to a physician and he says, "Oh my God, I can't tell Howard he's got prostate cancer and lung cancer.
He just came here for a checkup."
I'm just not even going to bring it up. I mean, why?
It's exactly the same thing.
Yeah,
and it is, we want to be validated. After a while, I've worked with dentists that they keep saying no. They present and patients don't want to do it. They can't afford. There's so many excuses, which is valid excuses, but it's still. But I'll give you the antidote. Dentists, young dentists, know this for sure. For the rest of your career, the majority of the patients will tell you no. Get used to it. But no now doesn't mean no tomorrow. Because my circumstances will change financially if I can afford it, or even sometimes the aggravation. I travel for a living. I do a lot of traveling. Sometimes going to the doctor is an inconvenience. But if I see the need, I will show up. It's the same thing with dentistry. Sometimes you put it off, but rest in the assurance that no now doesn't mean no tomorrow.
And you talk about people who sell cars. When someone tells them no, they're like, right on, I need 25 no's to sell a car.
That's exactly right.
So thanks for saying no. Now I only need 24 more, 23 more. I know a guy that has one of the, I know several of these guys have very large offices where every Friday it's just a rehab case. Mm-hmm. But they always present complete dentistry, and they say, I don't even care if only 1 out of 5 accepts it, because 1 out of 5, it means every Friday is a $10, $15, $20, $30,000 case, but that other dentist will never get to sell that new car to the dentist on Friday because they can't handle the 5 rejections and say, no, I don't want all that, just fix the one that's broken.
So with that parity that you're doing right now, also in dentistry, you have the flexibility, because when you buy in a car, it's all or nothing at all. You have to take your car with you, right, if you buy it. In dentistry, I present 30,000 worth of dentistry, but I only have 5. I can do the 5,000 out of the entire. You're not going to change the treatment. You're going to start.
Yeah.
And there are words to say that. It's like, lucky for you, we can get you started. We'll get you out of decay. We're going to do this, that, and the other, because your circumstances will change, and they will get you all done. So it's not all or nothing at all in dentistry. You present comprehensively. And then let's say that I can only afford at the time or have the money at the time for a portion of it, and you start with that.
So when they come out, it's a journey. I mean, when they when they come out of school, it's everything to just do a filling or a crimp.
Oh, yeah.
And then after a few years, maybe 4 or 5, they expand their mind to quadrant dentistry. And they think, well, if I'm going to numb up this tooth, might as well do the whole quadrant. And then later they become right side, left side. And then eventually they become a comprehensive dentist. How, if you were, a lot of the podcast listeners they're young. They're just out of dental school. What would you recommend to how they can go to expand their journey? How could they get Barnesified today?
Okay, so first of all, I had the privilege of doing a little presentation for Northwestern University in Chicago just a few years ago. And we talked about that when they come out of dental school. And actually, they were looking for jobs. And I always say, well, let me share with you not to be interviewed, but to interview who you want to work for. Because they need to know certain things. That when they go to an interview, the people that are interviewing them, they know 3 things. They're inexperienced, they're broke, and they need a job, correct? So I always say you need to know certain things about dentistry. You need to know how many new patients you're going to be seeing, how many existing patients you're going to be seeing, and what is in it for them. Because if I'm going to hire somebody inexperienced, I want to get them to continue education as soon as possible. And also I want to expose them to everything that I do comprehensively so they can become more productive for me, correct? So that's what I'm saying is like for young dentists starting in, look for a good mentor. Look and search for somebody that does comprehensive dentistry, not just a jiffy lubing kind of practice, because I've seen a lot of those practices. You know, they're in and out and you hope that they come back to you. So it's very important for young dentists, and I implore them to do this, be choosy about where you work. Sometimes, you know, the need to get employed as soon as possible, you know, overwhelms what you want to do, but however, always outlook.
Yeah, most of the times when they ask a question on Dental Town, it's like you can tell by the way they ask the question that they don't even know enough to ask the question.
Yeah.
It's usually something they'll say, well, this guy pays 25% and I got to pay all my lab bill, and this guy pays 35%, but he pays my lab bill. Which one should I do? And it's like, I mean, but based on that, Match.com and Tinder should always be able to pick your wife or your spouse in one side. I mean, well, is one guy a mentor? Is one guy not? Is one guy you'd want to be like, the other guy not? What about average staff turnover? If nobody stays working for this dentist longer than 2 or 3 years, and this other dentist, people have stayed by his side for 10, 20, 30 years, I mean, there's so much more to the sauce, but they just think money, percent, money. And it's like, you got to look at this as a marathon, not a sprint.
Absolutely.
And so the one thing that I think is so valuable for a young dentist, I mean, when we started Dental Town, it was so that no dentist would ever have to practice solo again. How many dentists do you work with at Arrowhead Dental Labs in Sandy, Utah? Hundreds. So see, this guy, they can see the dental industry hundreds at a time while you're driving to work alone in your car, going to work in your office all by yourself. What do you think the dentist who practices by themselves doesn't see that you see? I mean, what do you see of why some dentists are more happier, productive, successful, others are more stressed and
Okay, so great question, and I have many answers to that question because there are different kinds of practices too. I have worked in rural areas in Minnesota, in North Dakota, also in big cities and everything. So it's very different for all the different practices. However, one of the things that always comes back to is building relationships, and you have the opportunity to do something with a new patient, okay? Is how you talk to the new patient, how you actually introduce it to the practice, because it's important to build that high trust, low fear from the very beginning. It is a huge investment when somebody actually calls and makes an appointment. It doesn't happen by magic. You have to really advertise nowadays, correct? I remember when it was illegal to advertise in dentistry until 1979, it was illegal.
Yeah.
And now it changed.
I live in the state where it changed.
It changed.
It was 2 dentists in Tucson that physicians, dentists, and lawyers all couldn't change, and they took it all the way to Supreme Court, and they won. The legal lawsuit covered us dentists too. But yeah, it was 1973.
73.
Yeah.
So that's, you need to have, it's a huge investment for you to have the opportunity to do a new patient exam. And that's what it is important sometimes, that they don't take time to get to know the new patient, because you want to be a comprehensive dentist. And when you introduce a new patient to the practice, you really have to introduce them to the culture, that when they come to you, you are going to promise them that you're going to help them keep their teeth for a lifetime. And you start from there, develop the relationship. So that's the structure that we teach, that Dr. Barnes started, is a 3-layer structure. One, the first is a new patient exam, and what it takes you to get there. Because for you, the opportunity for me to be at the chair finally is taking a lot of effort. Phone call, then scheduling correctly for me to see you, and then to introduce the entire team. You're the movie star that comes in at the very end, and then you meet me. After that, when you do a new patient exam, you have a diagnosis with the patient, a diagnosis appointment coupled with a financial arrangement. Correct? If you're going to do a diagnosis, you have to get paid for it before you schedule. So that's the third aspect of it. So new patient exam, diagnosis, financial arrangement, and then schedule. So if you concentrate on focus on that, your relationship with the patients will actually be very lightened, and they will have more acceptance because they see the whole process. And from the very beginning, when they get to know your team, and the team is exactly reflecting what you do in the back. You always have the front and the back. It's a lot easier to deal with things like that, like presenting comprehensively.
So you got dry hands and wet hands.
Yes.
They call the dry hands or answer the phone and say, yeah, I'd like to get my teeth cleaned. And so they schedule you to come in for an hour to get your teeth cleaned. And that's the new patient exam. And what percent of all the dental offices in the United States would you guess?
They quite a few of them do. But let's talk about this.
Yeah.
So they call in and say, I would like to have my teeth cleaned. They never call, I would like to have a prophy done, right? If somebody tells you they want a prophy, you hang out. You don't want those patients in. They call for a cleaning. So the first question you ask, first of all, is, when was the last time you came to see us? Never been there before. So that's a new patient, correct? Because sometimes it's like, oh, are you a new patient? What do you mean I'm a new patient? I pay for Dr. Farran's like cars and houses and
ex-wives.
Still paying for the ex-wives. So you never offend the patient. So that is the domino effect that is important. You have to have somebody in the front answering the phones, answering questions and asking questions correctly. So we were talking about prophy colors. So let's say that they want to have their teeth cleaned, right? And it says, I would like to, have you a new, you never asked, are you a new patient? So when was the last time you came to see us? We've never been there. So can I have your information? Can I have your name, please? And you write everything down. You say, can I call you Mark? Sure, okay. So Mark, when was the last time you had a thorough examination? Well, it's been about 4 years. Okay, very good. You called the right place. When is better for you, mornings or afternoons? That is the only time you ask somebody when is better for you, mornings or afternoons. You know exactly where to put it. So, and then you look for a day, you make an appointment, and then you say, at your visit, you will meet with your hygienist and the doctor, and they will determine what kind of cleaning you will have at that appointment. Because one time I was having a conversation with Miss Tuana Coleman. She used to teach total team training, and she told the story that one of the hygienists says, I hate it when you schedule me new patients for cleanings. That person was a bloody mess. Oh, you should see the blood, the gore, the guts, and everything there. And so Tuana says, well, from now on, I'm going to ask, excuse me, sir, are you a bloody mess? Before I can make an appointment. So it's very important to have a system, a structure, that you never schedule a cleaning on your first appointment. You always assess what kind of cleaning they will be done.
And not to mention little things like it's illegal for a hygienist to do a cleaning without a doctor's exam.
Oh no, absolutely.
And,
yes.
and this really upset me with my boy. My boy had an issue a bump or something. He wasn't sure what it was. And I said, what do you want to do? He says, I want to have it looked at. So I took him to the emergency room because it was late and schedules, whatever. And they took him back there and did a CAT scan. And then when the doctor saw it, he says, why the hell did they do a CAT scan? It was just this little deal. It was nothing. And he said he just irradiated his groin, which he could only have like 5 in his entire lifetime. And it's like, so you can't order a new patient cleaning and have him come in and see the hygienist start taking bite wings and deal without having a doctor's exam. So first of all, it's not even legal. So a new patient cleaning, first of all, it's illegal. A new patient needs to see the dentist. The dentist needs to see the patient, decide, yes, do we need x-rays, all that stuff. So it's not even legal what they're doing. And what they're doing is new patient cleanings 90% of the time.
Yeah, it's because, sometimes they have a high new patient flow and they try to be as proficient as possible. The problem is with that, sometimes you have the team overworked and then you lose track of what really you're there for. Because you do need a new patient exam before you do anything else.
Yeah.
But is how you sort out the patients.
So how long have you been in dentistry in the States?
30 years.
30 years? So how is it changed in 30 years? How is it different than when I got out of school in dental school in 87? So do you think it's getting more challenging, less challenging? How is it different today than 30 years ago?
Well, technology is skyrocketing. I mean, every year we have new things thrown in dentistry, which is fantastic. We have materials that are inert, thank goodness, that is not affecting the mouth, like metals and things like that coming out. And also we have technology as the digital we have at Arrowhead. We can now scan, we can mill, we can do so many things. Just if you go, it's beautiful to see these young people in front of computers designing now 3D. And based on nomenclature that people send to us, databases and stuff that we can now merge and marry and do wonderful things together. So that technology-wise, let's say the hardware that we produce as in dentistry gets better. It's user-friendly. There's so many wonderful things we can do. Now that's the tangible part. The intangible, what the patient is going to get out of it, that is more challenging now, because you have to have that communication with people. And dentists are notorious. What I'm going to do, first of all, I'm going to prep you, and then I'm going to do a build-up, and then maybe a root canal right here, and I'm going to do an implant next to it. And they look at you like, okay, they think money, right? And the only thing I want to know, so am I going to get out of pain here? Are you going to be able to save that? So that's the intangible, is what is in it for me. I don't care what you do. I've had several surgeries, one major surgery. I never ask for details. Now tell me, are you going to cut my gut? Are you going to punch me with that camera? How are you going to do that? And then you're going to tear the ligaments, and then you're going to stitch me up, and are you going to cauterize me? I don't want to know all that. I want to know that at the end of the day, when I leave your office, I'm going to be smiling and I'm going to have that tooth restored. So that is the challenge now, and how to communicate whatever you can do for the patients. That is, communication is number one. And I think it's getting more challenging. Even in the dental office, sometimes I don't see people calling to remind people of appointments. And sometimes just to have a conversation. It's all text and it's all that. Now, the new generation, we want that. I should say they, because I'm not the new generation. They want a text, they want everything, but also you have to remember that we're human beings and we cannot be cattle with databases. We have to have that personal communication. And then you ask, what is the best form that I can communicate with you? Would you like a phone call? Would you like a test? Would you like an email? And they will tell you. People my age, I want a phone call. I don't want a text. I want a phone call to remind me that I have an appointment with them. My kids want a text. That's different. But if that will be a very good, pure way of communicating with them. And I have to tell you something really funny. So I had surgery, and then I get a text. And that's what I'm saying.
What kind of surgery did you have?
Okay, let's not share that. No, it was a minor surgery, but it was actually a hernia that I have to, it was a checkup after the surgery. No location place. It was just a abdominal one. And then I realized that sometimes when we send the text to our patients, we never audit what we're sending out.
Never what?
Audit what we're sending out. We figure that they get the text, correct? So this is what happened to me. I get a text saying, appointment reminder, Tuesday, whatever, 18th, 2:30, Dr. Clark. To cancel, there was a number. To cancel, a number. And then if you're a surgical patient, disregard this text, and then signed, the HO. THEHO, the HO. And I started to laugh. First of all, they gave me a number to cancel. I have a way out. I can cancel just by pushing the number. And then I wanted to know who the HO was.
Was it from Idaho?
So I showed up to the appointment, and the first thing I said, there were two ladies sitting next to each other. I says, good morning, and they gave me a clipboard, of course, a clipboard. And it says, before I start, and I would like to talk to the HO. And this lady goes, who? And I go, the HO. So I showed her the email. She says, oh, I'm so sorry, that went from corporate. So they send that to all the patients. And I go, yeah, but you guys have to take a look at that. And I go, so who's the HO? And she giggled and she pointed next to the lady next to her. And I thought that was quite cute. The point of that is sometimes we really have to watch what we're sending out. And also, to give a way to cancel, I don't think that's a good idea.
Do you think corporate's been a big change in the
Yes.
last 30 years?
Uh-huh.
A big change, a little change? Because
Big change. Big change.
And how?
Well, I don't make fun of it, but this is an analysis that I have. When I was getting my MBA, one of the things you always have to pay attention is to the industry, how the industry moves. And one of the things that I warn dentists, young dentists, is this. It's very important for you to be a comprehensive dentist. Don't become a Jiffy Lube dentist, because a Jiffy Lube is really easy to do. I get to your chair, and I tell you what is wrong with me, you fix that and you send me home. And you forget that you have a chance to present to me comprehensively. So that is the only problem with sometimes corporate offices. And also, some of the young dentists, they don't even get to meet the patient until the day they do the procedure. So that to me is losing that personal communication, that high trust, low fear.
I want to switch gears completely. It's one thing to decide on what bonding agent you're going to use. It's a $50 bottle and you'll use it all anyway. But when you're going to go out and buy a $10,000 or $15,000 intraoral scanner to switch from vinyl polysiloxane to an oral scanning, that's a big decision.
It is.
And they spend a lot of time on that decision on Dental Town. We get to see the metrics on what they're doing, and so you work in a lab. You see hundreds of dentists. Is it? Do they need to spend $15,000 on an intraoral scanner? Does it make their dentistry faster, easier, better?
That is a discretionary expense, as we know. It all depends. First of all, can you really afford it, and what you want to do with it? Because the return on investment can be huge, because you can be more savvy in your case presentation. To show that it's like you have a crack here. Let me show you what it looks like. But also, can your practice, your business afford making that investment? Because sometimes it's just like buying a electric handpiece. You're not going to see a return on investment. It's what you need now. I mean, I'm sorry, but electric handpiece is what you need nowadays to do it, because of economies of scale. Correct? I mean, the faster you are, the less materials you use. The same thing, rather than prepping one crowd at a time, if you can prep 3, you use almost exactly the same materials, correct? And the same time and everything. But it's amazing. So to answer your question is it necessary? I don't think it's necessary. Would it be great to have, the state of the art? Absolutely. But just pay attention to your numbers too. Work with or learn industry averages in regards to cash flow and everything, to see where your business is and whether or not you can afford buying something like that.
Some people have told me that the oral scanning is far more accurate, and the labs have less remakes, and that some labs have reported that they've gone from 5% remakes to 1% on their accounts as switch. Other people said it doesn't matter if you get oral scanning if you're still not cutting nice margins and packing the cord, and it's quality. It's quality or it's not quality, whether you scan or impression. Do you think the average dentist has less remakes with oral scanning, or is that a fallacy?
No, I'll say yes, because we were actually, and this is not to advertise anything, when the technology came available through iTero, we saw the opportunity. We actually purchased several of them, and we gave them to the high producing dentists because we saw the remake margin for the lab minimized, extremely. So, it's a good technology to have, absolutely. Yeah, but once again, yet again, though, if you're going to prep a crown, if you're going to have a bad prep, the scanner, the only thing it's going to do is scan the bad prep.
So do you, if someone said to you, what oral scan do you recommend? Would it be the iTero?
Not necessarily. It all depends on what you want to. I think they're doing really great with Invisalign, iTero,
Align Technology owns Invisalign and iTero.
Yeah, but it sometimes is how you use it and everything. So I couldn't really tell you how great it is or how not great it is. So I really couldn't tell you.
So I wonder if Dick, I know I didn't see it, but I wonder if Dick Barnes even saw it in the 80s, that he would see the new thing at the time was the PFM.
Yeah.
Does Arrowhead even make a PFM anymore?
Yeah.
It's not extinct?
Oh no, not at all.
It's not a Tyrannosaurus Rex?
No, it's not. We still have a department actually that does that.
Yeah.
And now the porcelains are beautiful nowadays. That it's not like the old PFM. But once again, it all depends on. We work by prescriptions. You guys send us the prescription, we do it. We do advise, however. We have a very excellent team of technical support that will advise you on the different materials and everything, continuity, how to do this, that, and the other. And PFM is still pretty much alive.
And they're more beautiful than.
Oh, absolutely. The porcelain are much more. I mean, they reflect the light so much better.
I'm going to ask you a question, but the minute I ask you the question, I know my homie's going to say is, he's biased. He's from a lab. How could he give an honest opinion about a CAD cam? But what do you think about dentists doing chairside CAD cam, buying a CEREC machine? Now, obviously, that would hurt your business instead of sending an impression to you. But what do you think about?
Okay, let me talk to you as a businessman.
Yeah.
Rather than a dental technician. I'm going to analyze the situation. Personally, I would have one. And the reason why is because, let's say that I work in a rural area and really they needed 1 crown. I will definitely do that because sometimes people in North Dakota, they'll drive 2 or 3 hours to see the dentist. If they need 1 crown, fine. But be warned, sometimes, and I see this, dentists, they lose opportunity by the opportunity of presenting comprehensively because they see 1 crown at a time because they have the scanner and they invested a lot of money and they have to use it. So sometimes you presenting comprehensively is skewed by, I'm just going to do that now. Maybe I'll tell them next time the rest of the stuff. But however, let's say that I do 1 crown or 2 crowns and then a year from now I tell you that, you're wearing your teeth really bad and we need to do something. We need to open you up and everything. So am I going to charge you again for doing that? I mean, for those crowns that I did a year ago, now I have to verticalize you. So am I going to discount those 2 crowns because actually they're not going to meet occlusion, correct? So sometimes that's what we do. We postpone treatment, and then when we do it, the patient says, everything is fine. Everything was fine, and now you did those crowns. What are we going to do?
And everybody out there lecturing says that it only takes an hour. You numb, prep.
Yeah.
Scan.
No, it does. Yeah.
Oh, an hour. Oh my God. In the field, you know what the time is that takes to do that?
Yeah.
It's like almost 3.
Yeah. And
on
also,
Dentaltown, thousands of people.
No, I've seen docs do it in 1 hour, whatever. But sometimes I see that it breaks and they have to do it again, and you have a very aggravated patient at the chair.
Well, then you're committed to submit it. If you've been in the chair, let's say it takes 2 hours, and then I go to submit it, it's not right. I don't have the guts to tell you, it's going to be 2 more hours.
Yeah.
I'm going to,
Suddenly it looks good. Okay, a little bond in here. I think that will work.
Yeah.
No, seriously, you compromise things. My biggest concern is this. As a businessman, I want you to present comprehensively. I want you to really restore your patients to a good video and everything. And to do that, it takes a lot of skills, to actually present that. And also the continuity of the treatment. Let's say that the patient doesn't have the money for that, but then how are you going to do 1 tooth at a time? Sometimes you can't. So it's.
What I wish you would do is, there's a whole generation of kids coming out of school that aren't going to have what the experience I had, which was to go see Dick Barnes live and get Barnesified. And now we have this digital opportunity on Dental Town. We've put up 400 courses on Dental Town, and they've been viewed almost 1 million times. And there's so many kids. Dick has to make an online CE course on Dental Town. He has to. I remember going to his course. I went 2 or 3 different times because I would come back and I'd tell another buddy, and then he'd say, well, I want to go see him, and I'd go back. And he did them, a lot of them. I saw him in Utah a couple times, California. His original practice was in Southern Cal. Do you remember where it was? Rialto?
Yes.
And so send him my love. Tell him that in this new age of digital cameras, he has to come down from the mount and do a course on Dental Town, because so much of dentistry success is just an attitude.
It is. It is. Absolutely, it is an attitude. It's how you see your world. It's looking at your world differently. Dr. Barnes taught me, that's the first thing he told me. You have to look at your world differently. Always, because it's always changing. Anyways, and he always told me the story, and he told me 100 times, and I loved it every second of it, because I told my kids this. What was the belief during Christopher Columbus time? The earth was flat. That was traditional thinking, right? Theologians knew it, scientists, everybody, and he goes, you know what? It's like looking at things, it's not. Great discoveries came about because he brought forth traditional thinking, right? Galileo Copernicus, the same thing, we were the center of the universe, correct? He says, you know what? No, looking around the stars, we're not. Oh my gosh, just about everybody died, when they found out that we are just part of a speck of something wonderful. Great discoveries came about. So that's what you always have to look at your world differently, and focusing on things is important too. Always having a goal of what you're going to do, and the goal will change. And young dentists, get used to this. Things will always change. Your practice is not going to be fixed ever. You get to a level and then you have to start all over again. And it's fine. And also when you do things, let's say that you have goals and visions, from time to time they change. And it's perfectly fine. Dr. Barnes taught me this. And my kids hated it too. You can tell somebody, you know what? I analyzed this and I changed my mind. Oh, you can change your mind? I just did. I changed my mind. So always have the flexibility to change your mind and explore other possibilities.
And and it's so sad, because when a executive does it, it's like good business. We've reanalyzed this and we're going to go a new direction. Yeah. But when a politician does it, he's flipping again. He's flipped his stance. He doesn't know where he's going. It
takes guts to think differently and to actually stop saying, you know what, we're going to go in a different direction. It takes a lot of guts. You feel alone, because you're going to get a lot of resistance. But sometimes you need to do things differently. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for stopping by and talking to my homies today. And tell Dick Barnes that if he ever wants to come on the show, I'd love it. But he has to at least do an online C course, because it just wouldn't be fair for this new generation of dentists not to be Barnesified.
Okay, so as a token of appreciation for you having me here, if they contact me, they have the information. I can actually literally send them a 2-day presentation. It's an audio 2-day presentation of Dr. Dick Barnes himself.
Okay, where do they send it to?
They can email me, and my email is H and then my last name Varas, Varas at arrowheaddental.com, and request the 2-day audio presentation from Dr. Dick Barnes, and I'll be happy to email that link to them. It's at cdbaby.com. They go to that link. I give them a little code that they can use as a one-time download, and they can listen to him, and I'll be happy to go over the materials with them.
No, that is nice. And wait, let me. Okay. But thank you. Oh, and last but not least, tell them where you were born in Chile. It goes from
Yes.
California to Alaska. Where are you at? Were you more in the San Diego to the Alaska?
I was born in Copiapó. That's where the 33 miners got lost. There was a movie. You mentioned there's a movie about this. And that's the town that is closest to that, the big town. I was born in Copiapó. Yeah.
And how many do they save?
33.
They got.
Absolutely. All of them. No one died.
away.
And it's funny because they never gave up. 33 days.
Yeah.
And other mining accidents like 2 days. Okay, let's seal the cave. No, these people really worked hard and they saved every single one of them.
That was so
quite
cool.
remarkable.
It was a
Quite
great
remarkable.
movie.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.